Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, it's the Game Boy's 30th birthday, which means it's finally old enough to vote,
That's 18.
to drink,
That's 21.
to rent a car.
That's 25.
Well, what is it old enough to do? It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about the news from the week, including Smash Ultimate Version 3.0 and Reggie teasing fans, even in retirement. Then on Thursday, we're going to be discussing Cuphead and Katana Zero on Switch. But in the meantime, Mark, how are you?
I'm doing great. So happy to be here.
Very good.
Check it off the list.
The list of,
Things I usually say.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. In NCS Bingo.
That's right. What other things are on NCS Bingo? You know what? I don't want to have this conversation because then I'm gonna become self-conscious about things that I say or phrases that I use.
It's part of the fun.
Is it?
For presumably
for other
somebody
people.
listening to it. Yeah.
All right. Well, if someone wants to make NCS Bingo and send it to us so we can disseminate it to everyone else.
Yeah. I would love that.
Okay. Oh, all right. Mark would love it. I feel intimidated by it.
That might be something that you would check off on your bingo card.
Patrick expresses self-doubt. You could email that to us at Nintendo Cartridge Society
at gmail.com.
Other things you can do with that email address.
Two more that I can think of offhand.
Go.
One, get on that list to borrow Patrick's copy of Sonic Forces.
It's funny we don't normally lead with being on the list. We normally lead with borrow Sonic Forces. Here's the thing. The list is better than the game. Get on the list. You'll have more fun than playing the game. All you gotta do
you get to interact with Patrick, which is a blast.
Mark's not wrong. I'm so much fun to interact with.
How do you do that?
You email us your address to Nintendo Cartridge Society
at gmail.com. You're on the list. That's a great thing about the program.
That's right.
Another great thing about the program is it costs you nothing.
Mm-hmm.
When your turn is up, Patrick will mail it to you after confirming with you that you still want it.
Yep.
People change. Maybe you, at one point in your life you wanted Sonic Forces, then, I don't know, you threw off the sheets one morning and you were like, I'm a changed person.
I'm different now.
And the way in which I am different is that I no longer want Sonic Forces. So Patrick will confirm it with you. And then when he mails it to you, he also includes postage. So you can return it. This costs you nothing. It's crazy.
Not just postage and packaging. It's literally in the envelope.
Could not be easier.
It could not be easier.
Number 2.
Thank you.
We're doing our listener question 250-ish episode spectacular. It's going to be coming out on May 9th. But that means that we need you to submit your listener questions by May 5th.
And if we don't get questions from people and the show is without questions, Mark and I will sit here in silence for 45 uninterrupted minutes.
And you will be the one that made us do it.
That's right. The shame will only be yours.
Luckily, that won't be the case.
Right. Because you are going to email us questions, and you can email questions to Nintendo Cartridge Society
at gmail.com.
These questions can be on any subject, basically.
That's right.
You want us to answer questions about Nintendo? Great. You want us to answer questions about ourselves? Great. You want us to answer questions about each other? Challenging, but great.
Yeah, maybe we'll just turn this into a fun podcast version of the Newlywed Game.
That's right. I feel like you and I are like newlyweds, except that we've known each other forever. We've known each other much longer than most newlyweds.
We're like modern newlyweds.
That's
where
right.
you live together for a really long time.
That's right. That's exactly.
And then you eventually get married, and it's just like a formality more than anything.
Right. Like you've basically been married and everything but named the whole time.
Right.
Thank you already to Lizzie, Jack, Elliot, Miles, and Mitchell for sending us questions.
But don't think that gets any of the rest of you off the hook.
No, look, some of these questions could be, what's your favorite color? How long is it going to take us to answer that question? Seconds.
Yeah, I mean, we could answer it right now, so you wouldn't have to send that one in.
I'm not going to, though.
Save it. Save your good material.
No, I would like to know, Mark, what is your favorite color?
Well, now I'm going to save it because otherwise our show will be imbalanced if somebody does ask us that question.
I see.
I'd just be like repeating information, or I would say nothing and then you would answer, and then our rhythm would be off.
My answer is I don't believe in favorite colors. I don't have one. Mark, let's get into some debugs because we got a bug.
We have a bug. I would really prefer to call this, because nobody got hurt with this one, right? Sometimes our debugs dangerous.
Yes.
It's like a recall. We're like fixing our mistakes.
Uh-huh.
This one was more of like, did I do that? Where people are charmed by our mistakes.
It's more Urkelian, you're saying.
Yes. And so last week we said that the upcoming Final Fantasy XII port that will be released for Switch later this month was the last of the announced Final Fantasy ports coming to Switch. But of course, that is not true. There's at least Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles still out there.
So we forgot about Crystal Chronicles.
Mm-hmm. Easy to do.
Easy to do. So easy, in fact, that we did it. That's how easy it was. All right, Mark, let's get into what we've been playing this week. So I've been playing Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Me too.
I was playing it on the train on my way down to San Diego this weekend. And part of the reason is that we got some news about it last week. Mark, let's temporarily get into the news.
Nintendo released Super Smash Bros. Ultimate version 3.0 last week. They announced the release date on Tuesday, and the new version came out on Wednesday, April 17th at 6 p.m. Pacific time.
Well, a little heads up, guys. Just the tiniest sliver of heads up.
I mean, at this point, we record our shows on Monday night at 8 p.m.
That's right. You do know that.
So just throw us a bone here.
Right.
So what did this include?
Yeah.
Well, the first fighter pack,
mm-hmm.
which included Joker from Persona 5, a new stage, Memento, and then music from Persona 5, Persona 4, and Persona 3.
Right. And all of those could be applied to the Memento stage.
Mm-hmm.
Or they all appear on there, and depending on what game the music is from, it changes the color of the stage. It's either red, yellow, or blue. And I think that's 5, 4, and 3 in that order. But having not really played any Persona games, I don't know that I'm right.
I had not picked up the Fighters Pack, which is it's like $25, and you get all 5 DLC fighters and the stages and all the stuff that comes with it when they're released. I hadn't picked that up yet, but I got sucked into the hype.
Yeah.
Or the Joker update. So as soon as I went home and spent the $25 to get it.
Yeah, because you're like, I either spend the $6 now and then $6 every time, or
just buy the whole thing.
Just
for
buy the whole thing. Yeah.
Separate Mii Fighter costumes.
Oh, I'll just go on record saying that I bought it right away. I bought it with Smash. I was like, Smash to me is an $85 purchase. That's just what it is.
Separate Mii Fighter costumes as paid DLC. They're 75 cents each. There's a Morgana hat from Persona 5. She's like the little cat. Persona 4 protagonist for the sword fighter Mii.
Yeah, it's a whole costume.
Teddy hat from Persona 4. Persona 3 protagonist for the sword fighter. Tails, random, not Persona related.
Right.
Sonic related. For the gunfighter Mii. Knuckles for the brawler Mii. And, of course, more to come in the future.
So I believe both Tails and Knuckles were costumes that were in Smash 4. That were also available. I think they were part of when you would buy like a bigger pack of like DLC content. So like there was already like a character and a stage kind of like wrapped up in all of that. And, mind you could buy a lot of that stuff piecemeal as well. But I believe I had both the Tails and Knuckles costumes in Smash 4 as part of other stuff that I bought. These are not included in the Fighter Pass.
That's right. It came in the Smash Ultimate 3.0 update.
Yes.
But unrelated.
Unrelated, something you will have to spend your money on separately. 75 cents for each one. There's 6 of them, so, that's a couple bucks. I'm not doing that math.
Some free updates.
Oh, hold on. I wanted to touch
yeah, please.
I want to touch on the fact that there is more to come. We had not known that there was going to be this kind of like granular paid DLC in this thing beyond the Fighter Pass. So it's I guess you can't blame Nintendo for doing it. But I, for one, am a little like, oh, all right, okay, here's here's more stuff that I'm just probably never going to get because I'm not going to throw down like a buck.
Well, I never used the Mii fighters, so
Totally.
like this is invisible to me.
Yeah.
There were also some free updates to the game. Stage Builder,
Yep.
which we ragged on pretty hard before we knew it was coming.
Did we rag on it?
I think so. I think we were both like, in summary, it's fair to say we were both like, Stage Builder sucks.
Whoa.
All the stages built with
I
Stage
feel like
Builder
we
suck.
were dismissive at most
Okay,
negative.
all right. I think that, you know what? I like that. Yes, we
Yes.
were dismissive.
We were like, Stage Builder, who cares?
Yes.
Yeah.
And we were kind of basing that on our own personal experience with Stage Builder, which was just like terrible levels.
Right.
But people have shown some real creativity with the Stage Builder Ultimate, the Smash Brothers Ultimate Stage Builder.
There you go.
I got there eventually.
Well, it seems like there are a lot of tools in this thing.
Mhm.
You can make platforms that move around, that rotate, and you can draw just like right on the screen. So it seems like it's a pretty robust tool set. So, I mean, that's, yeah.
What's I am blanking on the name of the like cat Pokemon. That
Meowth?
No. I'm sorry. That's like the fighter one that will
Incineroar.
Incineroar.
Yeah.
I saw one that was posted on Twitter where it was like, imagine like Incineroar's butt being pressed against glass,
Uh-huh.
and then there was like the perspective of Incineroar behind it.
Putting his cheeks on the glass?
Yeah. It was like I mean, he was still, well, I guess, does he wear shorts? You think I would know because it was very up close.
I don't think he does.
But anyways, that's creative.
Yeah. Seems like there's a lot of creative stuff on
Yeah, for sure. There's also the video editor,
there. Mm-hmm.
and you can share those videos and stages and Mii Fighters on Smash World, which is now available in the Nintendo Switch Online mobile app.
Yep, and that's all stuff that you can like do either through the app or through Smash itself.
Right,
So-
you can like find stages in the app that you think are cool and then queue them for download in the game.
So Nintendo told us all about this on Tuesday last week in a 15-minute long video. It's a long video.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of it became available the next day. I was actually not able to download the update at that evening when it went live because I kept getting that like,
Oh yeah, their
error
server's
message.
totally like crapped out.
Yeah, couldn't deal with it. But got it the next morning, and here we are 5 days later, and no one really is thinking about it anymore. So good on you, Nintendo. All right, Mark, let's get out of this temporary news and get back to what else we've been playing this week.
Did you mess around with Joker at all?
Yeah, I played through his classic mode.
Oh, uh-huh.
And played with him a little bit in some Smash matches. He's fun.
Yeah, I like the level too.
Yeah, I do too.
I also played some Kid Icarus SP.
Hey, on my recommendation of like,
Yeah.
you should experience that last level.
Uh-huh.
What'd you think?
I mean, I guess also with the SP version, was it easier, or do you have to get all three of those like special items
I believe you just
by
encounter
the end of the
all
game?
three of them. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, you were right. It was like a fairly easy, side-scrolling shooter
Yeah.
level.
And like feels almost nothing like the rest of the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
The game is so weird.
But it was fun for me to like see the end of the game because I
Yeah.
had never done that before.
I want also it to register. I did this as well. I played Kid Icarus SP just because I was like, oh yeah,
It takes like
the end of this game again.
3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
A good use of your time. I have been also played while I was in the NES Switch Online Super Mario Brothers: The Lost Levels.
Mark, so did I. I had never actually played this game before. I mean, not never, but played it in the Super Mario All Stars collection, and would play through like the first level and then be like, I don't need to do this to myself. But I gave it like a real honest try. Had to look up a few walkthroughs for some levels because anytime it's one of those like maze Bowser levels, I'm like, I'm not gonna figure this out. Like trial and error, no. But I got pretty deep into it, somewhere in like the 7th world before I eventually like got to the point where I was like, I'm not gonna do this anymore.
Oh, nice. Were you? I got to like the World 5. Were
Okay.
you using the save states to make it easier for yourself?
Yeah. But easier or possible? I was using it to make it even remotely possible.
Yeah, I feel like the reason why it's so hard is because you only have 3 lives. And it's really
Totally.
difficult to like get more lives
Yeah.
because especially with like a lot of modern platformers that are challenging, they know that you're going to die a bunch, so the game is just like built around that where you respawn really quickly, you respawn close to where you died.
Right.
This is not that at all.
This is not that at all, and it has the same like Super Mario Brothers 1 thing of like you need to collect 100 coins to get an extra life, and if you're good in a level, you'll get like 26.
Yeah.
So it takes a real long time to collect enough coins to get an extra life. So yeah, I was like unapologetically save scrubbing. Anytime I beat a level, I saved it and created a little restore point, and so I could get right back to it.
Yeah, for sure. I like this game. Like, I think it's fun.
Yeah.
And I think that's like a good compromise way to experience it if you've never played it before.
Totally, and there are parts of it that I see why. Like, I never would have been able to get past some of these parts without the save states. The levels where you have to like jump on a spring and then like the wind carries you, and you just have to like know where you are above the screen, which just seems like impossible to me. Like, it's not the difficult platforming or like the overabundance of enemies or even the weird kind of like Kaizo block that'll like mess you up that bothers me as much as those sort of just like blind jumps where I'm like, well, I'm going to do it right eventually, but, there's no, not reliably.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that I was so glad there were save states for is the game really, like, makes you use every ounce of the jump physics.
Yes.
At so many points where it's like, in order for me to make this jump, I have to take off at, like, the perfect moment. And I have to have the exact right amount of momentum, and they're really, like, stingy with the amount of runway you have.
Totally.
So it just like requires like perfect jumps, and so I'm like, yeah, I'm totally scrubbing this.
Yeah. Perfect jumps and like with kind of stunning regularity where it's just like here's just like a jump in the middle of the level. It's not even like the peak of the thing. You just have to regularly perform Mario's jump perfectly.
Yeah. But I still like it. I like this game.
Yeah, it's I gotta say I enjoy playing it a lot more when it looks like Super Mario Brothers 1 and not when it looks like Super Mario Brothers 1 in All Stars. The like 8-bit graphics just feel more like true to that experience for me. Also, we have been playing Katana Zero and Cuphead, but we will get into those on Thursday. Another game that I played a little bit of, I was on a train to and from San Diego this weekend, and on the way back, the train we had a power outage on the train, so we were stopped for like an hour and a half, and I was like, "That's it, I'm gonna play Mario Kart 8 Deluxe." And that's the game is just such a perfect time waster that I could. It's perfect. It's so comforting. I'm just gonna play Mario Kart and love it. I don't have anything new to report. It's just a very fun game. All right, Mark. That's what we've been playing this week. Let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week.
Today, April 23rd, Mortal Kombat 11 is released for Switch.
Crazy that this game is already coming out, and it's already coming out on Switch.
Are you picking it up?
I don't know. If I do, I don't believe I'm going to get it on Switch. Unless the reports are that it is as feature complete as the rest of them. But even still, I probably...
you have a fighting stick for the PS4.
I do have a fight stick for the PS4. Mortal Kombat doesn't really feel like a fight stick game to me.
Did it originate in the arcades?
It did.
Oh, okay.
But it's just a lot of like what I like about using a fight stick for Street Fighter. I mean, first of all, the way its buttons are laid out, that feels a lot more natural, or a lot like you have more options with all 6 attack buttons, plus the 7th and 8th if you're doing like the all 3 at one time. But modern Mortal Kombat really seems to be designed for just the face buttons. and like the trigger buttons should be triggered with separate fingers. And just the way a lot of Mortal Kombat move inputs are, they're less based on like the fireball motion. So like the ability to like clean sweep with a fight stick is less useful. And actually doing a like Scorpion's get over here in the original Mortal Kombat back low punch, like tapping back on a fight stick is less intuitive than just doing it on a D-pad.
Yeah, that makes sense. Also coming out today is Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen.
Okay.
Which is a port of Dragon's Dogma, which I've never played, but has a really good reputation among the people who have. It kind of seems like a hidden gem of the PS3 era. And then on the 25th, on Thursday, SteamWorld Quest Hand of Gilgamesh comes out. I was about to say Gilgamesh, but not true. It's Gilgamesh.
That's the play on words that they're using there.
I understand.
Yes, it's a card-based RPG, or like the combat mechanics are card-based. And we enjoyed SteamWorld Dig 2. We'll probably look into this one if nothing else.
And then on April 26th, Box Boy and Box Girl is out.
Now, I am very excited about this.
I am also very excited for this.
We've recently found out a price on this game. It's cheap. It's $10.
Yeah, it's a steal. I think the games on the 3DS were $5.
Or like $5.99 or something.
Yeah,
like
something
that.
like that. But it makes sense because, that was Box Boy. But here you're getting Box Boy and Box Girl. That's twice the box for twice the price. That seems fair to me.
Hey, Mark, that seems fair to me too. All right, well, that's the new releases. Let's get out of that. And now it's time for a regular segment on our show. It's time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or a group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So, for the duration of one performance of 433, Mark and I will talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. Mark, it is the week of Endgame.
Oh, it's like April Christmas.
It is April Christmas. So
you're just you're really excited. You're hoping to not be disappointed.
Oh boy, there's a child in this video who did not understand the etiquette of 433. But I suppose that's part of a performance of 433. Yeah, I am excited.
Mm-hmm.
I get this is a stupid thing about me. I get nervous when there's a new episode of a TV show that I like. And I don't know if it's going to be a good episode yet. I get nervous when there's a new movie in a franchise that I like, and I don't know if it's going to be good yet. So I'm currently feeling nervous about Avengers Endgame.
I totally know what you mean. When I was in the theater watching The Force Awakens the first time, through the first time I watched that movie, I was so stressed out because even though I was enjoying it, I was just anticipating the moment where it would begin to be bad.
Yeah.
And so afterwards, when it was over, and I was like, I really liked that. I think they stuck the landing on that one.
Yeah.
Then I could watch it again and enjoy it.
Yes. No, this was... So I got very deeply invested in the TV show Lost when it was on.
This recording at 433 has everything.
Yeah, there's a siren in the background.
Police siren.
Apologies, it's a bad one. I won't do it again.
But Lost.
Yeah, I mean, I was in a band that only wrote and performed songs about Lost called Sonic Weapon Fence. We're on Spotify. Check it out. And it's, I was just after every episode aired, I would be on Lostpedia and adding to the unanswered questions, and I just my identity was so wrapped up in this show, which I know is stupid, whatever.
We do a Nintendo podcast.
I know.
Not that bad.
But while I would watch the new episodes as they aired, I was so nervous about was this going to be a good one? And then after it was over, usually the next day, but sometimes that same night, I would watch the episode again so I could enjoy it because I couldn't the first time.
Yeah.
So that's sort of where I am with Avengers right now. And I don't know when that happened, when I became so excited about there being a new Avengers thing.
I mean, I've got to say, for me, Infinity War really, I left Infinity War feeling invested.
Mm-hmm.
Because I really liked the characters, but Age of Ultron wasn't my favorite, and I was burned out by the time Civil War came out, and
Sure.
so I was a little bit down on Civil War, but like Infinity War got me right back in it.
Yeah.
I saw Captain Marvel just a couple of weeks ago, and
We
it just
saw it
got me
together.
like, that's right. And it just got me like more excited
Yeah.
for Endgame. Who's your favorite Avenger in the current like lineup?
I mean, I got I've got a boring answer here, and it's Captain America.
Yeah, me too.
I think that Chris Evans is just so good at being that character and being like so earnest and so sincere. Sarah and I have been just kind of like watching Marvel movies in the weeks leading up to it, which I think sort of everyone is, which is kind of cool. That like we're all just like excited and like invested in it. But we watched Infinity War, and there's a moment when Steve Rogers meets Groot, and Groot says, "I am Groot," and Steve says, "I am Steve Rogers," and like it's just so earnest. I love it so much. Who is your favorite Avenger?
Also, Captain America. I really like this version of Spider-Man. I wish that my favorite character was somebody like Rhodey, or like something like that, because I think there's just something that would be really exciting when like Rhodey gets screen time. If like I got really excited for that,
Right, and no one else was.
Exactly, and I'm just like, Rhodey's on screen, you guys. And I'm on the Rhodey Wikipedia being
Right.
like, he's in it for like this many seconds, and they're all precious to me.
Right, but then you would get nervous anytime he comes on screen. Oh, all right. That's the end of that. We were accompanied today by, who were we accompanied by?
The Royal Central School of Speech and Drama, MA Music Theater. Do you think that's Massachusetts? Well, we'll never know for sure.
We will never know. All right, Mark, let's get into the rest of the news.
It's the 30th anniversary of the Game Boy.
Hey, Game Boy.
You're
I don't know. I don't know what that was. Hey, Game Boy.
The original Game Boy came out on April 21st, 1989 in Japan. And it released on July 31st in North America and September 28th in Europe. Polygon's gotten a great article up about the release of the Game Boy in the West, featuring interviews with Don Coiner, the Nintendo of America marketing manager at the time, Hank Rogers, founder of Bulletproof Software, and Gail Tilden, the Nintendo Power's founding editor-in-chief.
It's a really cool piece that Polygon put together. I would recommend that you go and check it out. They kind of chart what it was like bringing the Game Boy to the West, and what's the guy's name? Coiner's objection to the name Game Boy. He's like, it sounds weirdly gendered and like super Japanese. I don't know that it's going to play well. And then the Bulletproof Software guy, Hank Rogers, who like went to Russia to like secure the publishing rights or the exclusive publishing rights for Tetris, and then like convincing Nintendo in Japan to package the system with the game and all that stuff. And then they also like get into how they approached Pokemon and bringing that from Japan to the West. So it's a really, really cool article. And like if you're just looking for a way to like, this is the way to celebrate the Game Boy's 30th anniversary.
It's interesting to me that Coiner felt like Game Boy sounded very Japanese.
Yeah.
Because it's such a part of the lexicon now.
I know.
That that would not have even occurred to me.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean that's why it's so interesting to look at this. And there are concerns about like Pokemon, about like in Japan people are getting like the manga and then getting the anime, and that they have all this like all these other reference points for these characters and what the individual Pokemon are, and that like Japanese kids are more likely to play a deep RPG, and then also people aren't going to be turned off by like the kiddishness of Pokemon, and that like these were all concerns about bringing it over to the West. And then when it got here, it's just like it became a cultural phenomenon here too. So like I don't know, it's very interesting to this piece brings out all these perspectives that seem totally alien now, like Game Boy sounding too Japanese.
But at the time, you're like fretting over these decisions,
yeah,
knowing that like the wrong one could like make or break the launch of a product.
Yeah, And it turns out made. Game Boy was awesome, man. It's crazy to think how long, because Pokemon came out so late in its its life cycle, right? Like 89 is when the Game Boy came out, and Pokemon's what, like 95, 96, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then that kept it alive for a while longer. So it's an amazing piece of Nintendo's history, and it is 30 years old today.
Konami had previously announced a Castlevania Anniversary Collection for Switch and other platforms. Last week we got more info on the pricing. It's just $20, $19.99. Release date May 16th, so pretty soon.
Mm-hmm.
And all 8 games in the collection, including the original Castlevania, Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest, Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse, Castlevania The Adventure, which was a Game Boy release, Castlevania 2 Belmont's Revenge, also a Game Boy release, Kid Dracula, also a Game Boy release, Super Castlevania 4, my personal favorite Castlevania, and Castlevania Bloodlines for the Sega Genesis.
So a lot of games in this collection. I'm surprised to see 3 Game Boy games on here, including Kid Dracula, which wasn't a super well distributed game, right? Like it was a remake of a Famicom game that never came to the States. And I think just by the time it came out, like people weren't really paying attention to that kind of game.
I love Castlevania, and for $20, like I haven't played. I don't know that I played any of these Game Boy games. I think the first one doesn't have a great reputation, but like Kid Dracula, I've never played before.
Right.
So that's like having that and Castlevania, Super Castlevania 4 on my Switch is worth it for me for sure.
I have never played Castlevania 3.
Oh, it's great.
That's what I hear, and it seems right up my alley. And I remember being super excited about it as a kid because when I was a child, just the idea of different playable characters got me excited. And that game has it, and I never played it for reasons I don't know. Do you think that this opens up a window for there to be another Castlevania collection at some point? Because these kind of cap out in the 16-bit generation.
I'm encouraged that there are Game Boy games on here.
Yeah.
Because, one, I have no idea what that's going to look like on a Switch screen or, on a TV.
It's going to be crazy.
But 2, I would really like to see a Symphony of the Night collection, basically. So if they take Symphony of the Night and then they take the GBA and DS games that are all in that same style, I guess I don't know how you would do the DS and 3DS games or just DS games necessarily, but you could totally package the GBA ones.
Yeah, and there were 3 of them, right?
I think
GBA?
so, at least 2.
Well, in some of those games, like Symphony of the Night and a few others, maybe one other was collected on a PlayStation collection recently. I don't know. We don't have all the information about Castlevania collections, but it's these are all like Castlevanias of a type, really, with maybe Simon's Quest being a little bit the outlier. By the way, if you're interested in Simon's Quest, Mark and I recently did a playthrough of it for our Weird Retro Sequels month. So you can play it when this collection comes out on May 16th, and then go back and listen to our old episode.
Or if you had listened to it before and not played it, you
Yes.
can play it, listen to it again, and have context.
That's right. A little bit, I guess not. It's not that weird, I guess, but Castlevania and Super Castlevania 4 are both on the NES and Super NES Classic Editions, respectively. So those games have been kind of in at least our lives.
Yeah, but they were also like Super Castlevania 4 was on the Wii Virtual Console, and I'm sure it was on the Wii U Virtual Console. But this will be the first time you can play it on Switch, which for me, I have my Switch plugged in all the time. I don't have my SNES Classic Edition plugged in all that often.
Plus, the SNES Classic Edition has to stay home tethered to your TV. You can't take it with you. I will also mention just, you and I have done a number of episodes about Game Boy games that we want to see either remade or packaged in some way so that we could play them again. And it is super encouraging to see 3 Game Boy games on this list. I hope that it does well for Konami so other people can see oh, hey, we should package.
Yeah, more of that, please.
Yeah, more of that, please.
When Doug Bowser took over Reggie Fils-Aimé's role as president of Nintendo of America, his previous job of senior VP of sales and marketing was filled by Nick Chavez.
Welcome.
Congratulations, Nick.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Reggie, even though he's not the president of Nintendo of America anymore, that doesn't mean he still isn't masterfully teasing Nintendo fans.
This guy, man.
On his Twitter account last week, Reggie posted an image of a going-away gift he had received from Retro Studios. It's an illustration of Reggie surrounded by characters from franchises that Retro has worked with, including Metroid and Donkey Kong Country. And in the lower left-hand corner, he had placed a Mario statue, and the Mario statue is in front of another character that you can't make out. You can just kind of see its arm.
Can't quite make it out. It's like a hand that you can see, right?
Yeah, not even like a full arm.
And it looks like a little mechanical hand. I'm making like Ninja Turtle claw with my hand right now. Or like the Vulcan sign. Salute? What is this?
Salute.
Vulcan, live long and prosper. It's that thing. Yeah, so it looks like a little robot hand, and we don't know what this thing is.
Right, and Enrique Rivera, concept artist at Retro, quoted Reggie's tweet and added to it like a winky face. And when someone tried to inquire more, they were like, Enrique. He posted like a GIF of Goofy, the Disney character, kind of like being bashful and
like hiding his face. What wasn't the tweet asking or inquiring further about it? Just saying, is that ... Yeah. So there is a character of some notoriety within retro circles that is on this thing that Reggie tweeted out and maybe shouldn't have.
Well, I mean, I think the Mario statue was placed very strategically.
He did it on purpose.
Yeah. Or yes.
Yeah. Who do you think the character is?
I have no clue. I mean, maybe it's from a game that they've been working on, and it'll be like an original character.
Could be an original character. Could it be, as I have heard speculated, could it be Rob64, the robot from Star Fox? And he's teasing the Star Fox Grand Prix racer.
I don't know. I would love Star Fox Grand Prix to be real.
Yeah, but your heart doesn't think it is anymore?
My heart believes it's still real.
I understand.
My head doesn't believe it's real anymore. There have been enough, I don't know, when it didn't get announced, in the past couple of months, people are like, well, actually, maybe it was never real, and maybe just one person said something about it, and then everybody heard basically third hand that's what was happening.
And also maybe it was like an idea that someone was working on for a little bit and then got scrapped or whatever.
Right. But I think, it sounds like it has the potential to be really cool.
Totally. I mean, and no matter what, there's kind of a question of what has Retro been up to? Because they haven't put a game out since Tropical Freeze. And, we heard recently that they are taking over Metroid Prime 4 sort of from scratch. So what, but there's 4 or 5 years there where it's what have they been doing?
Yeah, and there were rumors or speculation that there are 2 teams inside Retro, and what one of the teams was working on got canceled at some point.
One team always tells the truth and the other team always tells a lie.
Right, and you meet both teams standing in front of 2 doors.
Right, and you say, what game would he tell me he's working on?
And it's Donkey Kong Country Returns 3.
That's right.
Reportedly, Nintendo has partnered with Chinese megacorporation Tencent to begin the process of releasing the Switch officially in the Chinese market. While neither company has officially confirmed the partnership, authorities in the Guangdong province of China recently gave Tencent permission to begin distributing the Switch with a demo version of New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe.
It's pretty huge, right?
Yeah. It's a market that Nintendo has not entered in any official capacity. The regulations for the gaming market in China are really complex. I think that's one of the reasons why Nintendo was looking for a partner who is familiar with the regulatory landscape in trying to get into China.
Well, and isn't it mostly that console gaming is more or less doesn't really have a presence there?
Yeah, I
think
it's
mostly mobile and PC.
PCs, and I think in the past few years, I think within the past 5 years, PlayStation just barely officially had a presence there. Nintendo's been dabbling in the market a little bit. We reported on maybe a year ago that they had partnered with NVIDIA to release like ports of some of their games, like Twilight Princess was one of them for the NVIDIA
and
Shield.
Super Mario Galaxy.
Yeah, like running on the NVIDIA Shield. But this would be the first time that they're like officially releasing Nintendo branded hardware in China. And we've also seen that they've been releasing updates to their games, or their recent games have just included support for simplified and traditional Chinese.
Yeah, and with the systems being region free, the Switches being region free, that means that someone visiting elsewhere could just pick one up and bring it back home.
When I was in China recently, and I didn't see a ton of them, but I did see a few Switches in the wild. So they're definitely available. I don't know if those people had bought it like from a different country or had it imported or something.
Yeah,
but you don't see them like advertised or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, this if Nintendo could crack that market, it obviously means a ton of potential Switches that they could move, which means more money in the Nintendo bank, which means they can maybe take more chances and we can get more games.
Finally, we fell asleep at the wheel a little bit. We know that we're your number one go-to source for Splatfest information.
That's right.
And there was
I would say all Splatoon 2 information.
There was a spring-themed Splatfest this past weekend that pit Tortoise versus Hare. Tortoise was more popular, but Team Hare won out by a nose.
In what way is a hare? No, the hare makes sense. Hare, spring related. I get it. In what way is the tortoise spring related? I get how it's hair related.
Right. I think they use spring colors.
Okay.
In promoting it, and they couldn't think of another thing to like. They couldn't do like a hare.
Easter Bunny versus Christ. They couldn't do that.
Right. Exactly.
They couldn't do secular versus Christian celebrations of the holiday.
But I mean, is a hare really Easter related? Either the bunnies are Easter related.
Okay. Here's a great question. What's the difference between a hare and a bunny?
I don't know. A similar difference between a tortoise and a turtle?
Yes. All right, Mark, let's get out of the news. Okay, that is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Please rate, review, subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. That helps us out tremendously when we get a review. We were just talking the other day that we should get some more reviews.
Yeah, we love it.
Yeah, if you haven't done it yet, get over there. Give it a certain number of stars, 5, 4, the other numbers as well, 3, 1, 2. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Patrick_Ellers. Mark is at MKE Mitchell, and the show is at NinCart Society. We also have a Facebook page, which is just Nintendo Cartridge Society. Olivia Duncan made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers saying thank you for listening.
Campfire.